When everyone heard about level 16, the entire community lost their minds. TikTok and Instagram exploded with angry posts. Content creators made rant videos. Players threatened to delete the game forever. And honestly, you can't really blame them. Adding another level feels like the worst possible thing that could happen to any mobile game. It's like moving the finish line right when you're about to cross it. But what if level 16 isn't actually the disaster we think it is? Now, before you click off this video thinking I've completely lost it, hear me out. I spent about a week digging into every single detail about this update. I analyzed the progression system. I calculated the actual costs. I looked at what other successful games have done in similar situations. And what I found might completely change how you think about level 16. First, let me show you the 3 biggest misconceptions that everyone keeps repeating. The first misconception is that level 16 makes progression impossible for casual players. Everyone keeps saying that adding another level means months of grinding just to stay competitive. But when you actually look at the numbers, that's not what's happening at all. The progression curve from level 14 to 15 was way steeper than what we're getting from 15 to 16. Most players don't realize this because they're still traumatized from the last time levels got added. But the math tells a completely different story. Here's what actually changed. The resource requirements for level 16 follow a much more reasonable scaling pattern than previous updates. Instead of doubling or tripling the cost like they did before, the increase is actually pretty manageable. You need about 30% more cards and gold compared to the jump from 14 to 15. That might sound like a lot, but it's nowhere near the nightmare people are making it out to be. Plus, the new reward systems they added make getting those resources way easier than it used to be. The second misconception is that level 16 only benefits paying players. This one drives me crazy because it completely ignores how the economy actually works now. Free-to-play players have access to more resources than ever before. The daily rewards got buffed, the seasonal events give out way more cards and gold. Even the basic chests have better drop rates now. When you add all of this up, the gap between free-to-play and paying players is actually smaller now than it was 2 years ago. But here's the part that really surprised me. Level 16 cards aren't immediately available in competitive modes. The developers learned from their past mistakes and implemented a gradual rollout system. This means casual players have months to prepare before level 16 becomes necessary for high-level play. That's completely different from how they handled previous level increases, where everything changed overnight. The third misconception is the biggest one, and it's about why level 16 exists in the first place. Most people think this is just a cash grab designed to squeeze more money out of players. But when you look at the bigger picture, level 16 solves some serious problems that have been building up for years. The game's progression system was basically broken at the top end. Max players had nothing to work toward. New content couldn't be balanced properly because everyone was hitting the same ceiling. Adding level 16 creates breathing room for the developers to fix these issues. It gives advanced players meaningful progression goals again. It allows for more nuanced balancing, where slight power differences actually matter. And most importantly, it sets up the foundation for future content that would have been impossible under the old system. This isn't just about making players grind more. It's about creating a healthier long-term ecosystem for the entire game. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds nice in theory, but what about the actual impact on regular players? What does level 16 mean for someone who just wants to play casually without spending money? If you're the type of player who tries to max out everything immediately, then yes, level 16 is going to be frustrating. But that approach was already unsustainable even before this update. The game has way too many cards for any reasonable person to max them all. Smart players focus on a core set of cards that work well together instead of trying to upgrade everything. With level 16, this focused approach becomes even more important, but it also becomes more rewarding. The power difference between level 15 and 16 is significant enough that your investment actually feels meaningful. Your upgraded cards perform noticeably better in matches. The progression feels substantial rather than just cosmetic. The key is understanding which cards deserve the level 16 treatment and which ones can stay at 15 for now. This is where strategy comes into play. Do you upgrade your win condition first? Do you focus on defensive cards that need the extra help? Do you prioritize versatile cards that fit into multiple decks? These decisions matter more now, which makes the progression system more engaging rather than just mindless grinding. But there's another layer to this that most people are missing completely. Level 16 isn't just about individual card power. It changes how deck building works at the highest levels. With level 16 available, deck synergy becomes way more complex and interesting. You can't just throw together 8 powerful cards and expect them to work anymore. The stat differences between levels create new interaction breakpoints that completely change how certain combinations perform together. A level 15 support card might not be able to keep up with a level 16 win condition, creating timing issues that never existed before. This forces players to think more strategically about their upgrades. Instead of randomly maxing whatever cards they have enough resources for, they need to plan entire deck upgrades as cohesive units. It's like the difference between buying random expensive items versus carefully building a coordinated outfit. The end result is so much better when everything works together properly. The meta implications are fascinating too. Certain deck archetypes that were struggling at level 15 suddenly become viable again at 16 because the power power boost affects different card types in unique ways. Tank cards gain proportionally more value from the health increase. Spell cards become more reliable at clearing specific threat ranges. Support troops survive interactions they couldn't handle before. This creates entirely new strategic possibilities that didn't exist in the old system. Professional players and content creators are already discovering these new dynamics using the new Chef Tower. The footage from high-level matches shows completely different gameplay patterns emerging. Interactions that used to be guaranteed trades now require different positioning and timing. Push compositions that dominated the previous meta are getting countered by defensive setups that barely worked before. It's like watching the game evolve in real time. For competitive players, this represents the biggest shakeup we've seen in years. The skill ceiling just got raised significantly because mastering these new interactions takes genuine practice and game knowledge. You can't just copy someone else's deck and expect immediate success anymore. Understanding why specific level combinations work together becomes crucial for consistent performance. But what about the economic side of all this? Everyone keeps focusing on the upgrade costs without considering the value proposition. Level 16 cards aren't just slightly better versions of level 15 cards. The performance jump is substantial enough that upgrading feels like getting access to genuinely new content rather than just paying for incremental stat boosts. Think about it this way. When you upgrade a card to level 16, you're not just buying a few extra damage points. You're unlocking new strategic options, new deck possibilities, and new ways to outplay opponents. The gameplay experience changes meaningfully, which justifies the resource investment in ways that previous level increases never did. The timing of this release is actually perfect for another reason nobody's talking about. The game's player base has matured significantly over the past few years. Most dedicated players have developed the game knowledge and strategic thinking needed to appreciate these deeper mechanics. Level 16 rewards that expertise in ways that casual number increases never could. Plus, the developers clearly learned from community feedback about previous updates. The implementation timeline gives everyone breathing room to adjust. The resource generation improvements make the grind more manageable. The competitive restrictions prevent immediate pay-to-win scenarios. These aren't accidents. They're direct responses to years of player complaints about how level increases were handled before. The really clever part is how level 16 sets up future content additions. With more statistical headroom available, the developers can introduce new mechanics and card types that would have been impossible to balance under the old system. We're probably looking at the foundation for expansion level content updates that go way beyond just adding new cards to existing archetypes. So here's what I think is really happening. Level 16 isn't the end of progression creep. It's the beginning of a more sustainable long-term model where power increases come with meaningful gameplay changes rather than just bigger numbers. The developers are betting that players will appreciate depth and strategy over simple power. Look, I get it. After everything I've laid out here, you might still think I'm completely wrong about level 16. Maybe you're convinced this is just another cash grab disguised as progress. And honestly, that's fair. We've been burned by bad updates before, and trusting the developers again feels risky. But here's the thing. Every major game that's survived long-term has gone through these growing pains. The successful ones figure out how to evolve their progression systems in ways that actually benefit players, instead of just extracting money. The unsuccessful ones keep making the same mistakes until their communities abandon ship entirely. Level 16 feels different because the developers are finally addressing the core issues, instead of just slapping band-aids on surface problems. The gradual rollout, the improved reward systems, the focus on strategic depth over raw power, these aren't accidents. They're signs that someone actually listened to years of player feedback. Will level 16 be perfect? Probably not. Will there be balancing issues and community complaints? Definitely. But for the first time in a long while, it feels like the game is moving in a direction that could actually work long-term. Instead of just keeping players grinding the same content forever, we're getting systems that reward strategic thinking and deck-building expertise. The choice is yours. You can stay angry about the change and miss out on what might be the most interesting meta shift we've seen in years. Or you can approach level 16 with an open mind and see if all this strategic depth actually makes the game more fun to play. Either way, the update is happening whether we like it or not. Might as well figure out how to make the best of it.